I feel so nervous. Okay, let's do it. Well, my neighbors have just come out. I apologize if the sound of the child is louder than the sound of my voice, but this is just a Q&A video. So, here we go. Arnold Ho asks, do you have any goals for your channel? In the future, I would love to do a collaborative video. I'd specifically like to create some kind of fun social experiment. Another goal for my channel would be to raise awareness of the issues affecting third culture kids. I'm a third culture kid, and watch this space for more videos on that kind of content. Arnold also asks, are there any other personal projects you're working on? Yes, there are. There are 2 other personal projects I'm working on. One of them is to do with developing a coaching business, drawing my experience from both psychology and business to help people maybe 5 years younger than me along their way. The other project I'm working on is to do with community building. Many of us have felt quite isolated and alone in the past year because of the pandemic, and having been on this 6-week course with so many amazing people, I genuinely feel like I've made real connections and friends that I will meet in the future. And I never expected the course to have such a profound impact on me to the point that I wanted to continue that community, and that I really want to invest my time into building those relationships for the future. Thanks for your questions, Arnold. Bav Sharma asks, what's been the hardest part of the journey so far? The hardest part of the journey on YouTube for me so far has been talking about myself. I struggle to share my stories. They feel very personal to me still. They feel intimidating. Many of you have tried to help me come out of my shell, so for that I am thankful. Bav also asks, what made you overcome the fear of doing a Q&A? So she knows that I didn't really want to do this homework assignment. I don't think I've actually overcome the fear of doing this Q&A. I'm sat here feeling quite afraid, and I'm doing it anyway. One of my favorite stories is about how there was this older and younger sibling standing at the edge of a swimming pool, and the little one was afraid to dive into the pool and kept saying to the bigger sibling, but I'm too scared, I can't do it. And then this grandma walks past, and then she stops and looks at them, and she's like, well, be scared, feel the fear and do it anyway. And that story always stuck with me about feeling the fear and doing it anyway. I do a lot of things through fear, actually, and I think that surprises a lot of people. My heart races at 1,000,000 miles per hour, and I'm doing it. Probably with a frozen smile on my face and the inappropriate emotion to display, but it's my way of pushing through fear. People are complicated. Thank you for your question, Bav. The next question is from Markian, which is, what is your superpower? My superpower is my ability to use intuition and observation in equal balance. Typically, intuition and observation are seen as 2 ends of a spectrum. A person who's very observant only pays attention using their 5 senses to the things within the physical environment. Somebody who's very in tune with their intuition seems lost in a world of thinking about the meaning of things, the connections between things, the past and the present and the future. It becomes a superpower when you realize that you have the ability to choose which one you want to use, and that your natural preferences aren't dictating the way that you direct your mental energy. Thank you for your question, Markin. Bex asks, what made you start your YouTube channel? I was in a coffee marketplace in Taiwan with my dad, and I was vlogging the experience from my smartphone. I was talking about all sorts of things, from sustainability to Well, mostly food and coffee. Thank you for your question, Bex. Okay, so now I have 3 more questions from Twitter, from Keegan, Catherine, and Oliver, and they're all triple-barreled questions. Keegan Leary asks, question 1, a book recommendation. Well, Keegan, normally I like to suggest books to people based on what I know about them. The only thing I know about you is that you used to work in a submarine. Oh, and also, you're a skier as well. I'm going to suggest 3 books to you. A tennis book called Will to Win, a book about running called Born to Run, and a book about grit called Grit. Question 2, an interesting psychology discussion point you participated in recently. Ooh. So recently I've been talking in quite a lot of depth with somebody about the psychology of coercion, which is linked to all sorts of very interesting social phenomena, such as cults and abusive relationships and maladaptive behavior. There was this cult leader that recently got 120 years sentenced to prison for a cult that he founded in New York. A lot of people wonder, how is that possible? How does a cult leader become a cult leader, and how do people end up following? Could it be you? The answer is yes, it could be you. I bet you wouldn't believe me if I said that, though. But I'll go into the psychology behind it if you're interested. So subscribe if you are. Question 3. Other YouTubers you admire. I think the YouTuber I most admire, because I identify with her culturally, is Anna Akana. She is an actress. She has a very successful YouTube channel where she does skits about life. Often it's to do with relationships, and she cares deeply about representation and mental health, which is 2 things that I also care very deeply about. Catherine Ruge asks, 1. Can you remember 3 dominant feelings you had during week 1 of the YouTuber course that we're on together? Yes, I can remember very distinctly feeling overwhelmed, anxious, and excited. 2. What 3 feelings were you aware of most during week 6, which was the last week of the course? Feeling connected with people, inspired by content creators, feeling surprised by how much an impact the course had on my own personal development and growth, and my view of what my future career could look like. So I am so eternally grateful for this course. It's been quite a scary thing for me to acknowledge the fact that I want to be a creative person. It's kind of never too late to step into your thing. Thank you for the amazing questions, Catherine. And finally, Oliver Hinz asks, 1, what is your favorite word in any language? So I don't remember the exact word, but it's a set of concepts or words that comes from a tribe in Peru called the Aymara tribe. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. In English, we would say the past is behind us and the future is in front of us. In Aymaran language, the past is in front of you because you've seen it already. It's already happened. And the future is behind you because you haven't seen it yet. So they've flipped it. Their time orientation is quite different as a result. This is actually one of my favorite topics. It was my best scoring essay at university. I did a module in psychology called Language, Culture and Mind. Thank you for the brilliant question, Oliver. And I am very much in admiration of your ability to be such a good polyglot. 2, Apple or PC? Not really hardcore about either, but Apple. And 3, which city would you like to visit, COVID being solved? The first city I plan to visit when COVID is solved is Stockholm in Sweden. I want to go to the Avicii Tribute Museum, paying tribute to the late EDM artist Tim Bergling. I really got into his music during the pandemic, really big on live music. It's the one thing in life that makes me feel alive. Rest in peace, Avicii. My neighbors have gone back indoors. It might be bright outside, but it's absolutely freezing. I'm moving over to Instagram. Juliana Chow says, I want to know more about your background and what you like to do for fun. I was born in the UK. I moved to Hong Kong when I was 7 years old. I went to high school there until I was 17. Then I came back to the UK for university, and I've pretty much been here ever since, apart from 1 year which I spent in China. What do I like to do for fun? I'm a bit of a sporty spice, I suppose. I like tennis and volleyball. I like snowboarding, and I picked up skiing just before the pandemic as well. I really enjoy mountains and just hanging out with friends. Juliana also asks my fashion startup and what that was about. It was about creating a handbag for women photographers that would fit a DSLR camera, 2 to 3 lenses, and all of our belongings into a very stylish looking handbag. Inside it had the dividers and padding and compartmentalization of a standard camera bag, but on the outside it looked like a designer handbag. What food do you like to make? Chinese to Japanese, Thai, Korean, Indian, Malaysian, Singaporean, Southeast Asian cuisine generally, plus all your usual Western dishes as well. What's your favorite cocktail and why? My favorite cocktail has to be an old-fashioned because, of course, it's the oldest cocktail in the world. I have very fond memories of learning how to make an old-fashioned in a fancy cocktail bar that I had worked at. Just realizing how sophisticated making a good tasting cocktail with the right kind of body and the correct balance of sweetness with aromatics and high quality alcohol as well. Do join me if you would like at some point. Michael Odendaal, favorite YouTubers that you always watch? I'm kind of new to the whole YouTube thing in general. The channels that I've stumbled across and then binged watched for like a couple of hours have been Ali Abdal, a guy called Jared, Anna Akana, J. Lu, Claudia Kramer. How do you divide all your passions? At the moment, I have quite a lot of time because I actually closed my fashion startup right before the pandemic hit. I had just finished the gap year being a chef and being a barista and being a mixologist. During the pandemic, I've been able to focus all of the passions that I've developed over the past decade into creative storytelling, which is what I'm here doing right now on YouTube, sharing everything I've learned along my journey and hopefully doing so in a fun, creative and touching way. Thank you for your question, Claudia. Metin Senler. Metin asks, what do you mean by part-time chef? Do you work at a restaurant? Yes, before the pandemic, I started off part-time and then I went full-time for a while. I was working in a street food startup initially called Bao London, and they make gua bao, which is a Taiwanese pork sandwich. So that was a really fun experience because I'm Taiwanese and I was able to connect with people from my own culture. Never lived in Taiwan before. Learn about how to make my parents' food as well. It was such a fantastic experience. Being at the street food market in Nettle was super exciting, like super entrepreneurial. And then I went full time and worked in a restaurant in Bond Street, very fancy. It was inside like the Marriott Hotel. Gordon Ramsay decided that he wanted to launch his first ever Asian restaurant in the UK and was looking for an opening team to start that restaurant. I was part of a 60-man team or something. I was in the sushi section, which was like a kitchen island in the middle of the restaurant, together with some seriously pro sushi chefs with very, very long, scary knives and seriously sick skills. He was a bit like Hell's Kitchen as well. Oscar Motta, what's your favorite coffee-based drink? My favorite coffee-based drink is a long black or a black Americano. Sometimes I might add a dash of milk. If I'm feeling particularly indulgent, then I will have a cortado. Oscar also asks, what's your favorite coffee origin? What the hell is that? Okay. Sorry, I'm distracted by some weird-looking bird with ruffled feathers. Anyway, I do tend to find the more rounded, sweeter, mellow coffees are more appealing to me, so those from places like Brazil. My favorite coffee blend, of course, by the well-known YouTuber James Hoffman. His house coffee, which is called Red Brick, is absolutely amazing. I wish it wasn't so expensive. Renee Chu, what short story on love have you read that was most profound to you? I've read quite a few, so my battery ran out. How to Love Someone You Cannot Hold On To by Heidi Price. Thank you for the question, it was very beautiful. Jeremy Beasley asks, what will you eat and drink to celebrate 100k subs on YouTube? What a question. All I know is that I would eat and drink a lot. Coming from somebody who grew up with city skylines in Hong Kong, balconies overlooking the city of lights, warm summer nights with an amazing set of friends and amazing drinks and amazing food. Yeah. Mike Salazar asks, as an occupational psychologist, do you often read into other people at first impression and get tempted to diagnose people? Occupational psychology is about psychology in the workplace. To some extent, yes. I spend a lot of time understanding what good leaders look like, what good managers look like, what good workers look like, their specific personality profiles. In the field of occupational psychology, the word would probably be identify potential. Mike also asks, what's your favorite drink to make? At home, my favorite drink to make is 100% a good cup of Assam tea. Strong Assam tea. Assam tea is the only thing I have as a subscription on Amazon. Mike's asking, can we expect any B-roll of you and your barista skills while storytelling? I can't really show much barista skills from my home because I don't have the very expensive coffee machinery required to demonstrate top-notch barista stuff. If I had a nice Marzocco coffee machine at home, I would absolutely do that. I'm done. Okay, let's go. Oh, freezing. I'm absolutely freezing. Really hoping that this Q&A video is okay. I do apologize for the sound of neighbors in the first segment of this video. Trust me, I hate them as much as you do. No, I'm kidding. No, we have beef. We do have beef. Yeah. All right, let's have a look.